How y'all doing, folks, and welcome to my video. This is yet another another video that I decided to make regarding what's going on, what's happening, or what has been happening in the state of Minnesota, especially from this huge heist that I call it, and also Somali community. I made several videos before, and I try to explain the magnitude, the extent of the heist, the robbery, the welfare robbery. Under the close watch, and I call it directing and facilitation of by the governor, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, joining forces with Representative Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. So I'm not gonna even talk about those details and the dollars and what happened and whatever. So let's skip those. There's something else I want to basically touch base. That's gonna be on the citizenship, immigration, and it's not necessarily immigration and citizenship details and processes. None of those things. It's gonna be more like a philosophy of it and the actual ideas that those things are resting upon. So, first off, this country, United States of America, is a nation of immigrants, and I don't think anyone has any issue with that statement, with that phrase. I myself, an immigrant, I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen who has been living in this country for over 37 years now. And 29 years of it has been in the state of Minnesota. And as an immigrant myself, as a person who came from, I'm from Turkey, and I came from Turkey, and I believed the values, the American values. I came to embrace them, respect them, and recognize them, and internalize them. And I went to college. I was a student here first, and I got married. I was in Kansas, and I got married in Kansas, and I'm still married to the same lovely Kansas lady after 29 years, and as we took our vows until the death do us apart. So I've been basically, like I said, I decided to embrace American culture and be a productive and law-abiding citizen, a productive citizen of this nation. And this, I believe, is the basic line, the basic, most fundamental rule, aspect of being an immigrant coming from wherever we're coming from, regardless of your race, ethnicity, faith, religion, national origin. For as long as you come to this country and make an effort to learn the language of this country and understand the values, the value systems and traditions, everything, and show respect, it does not mean you forget your language, your culture, and everything. But you have to embrace and eventually assimilate and be part of this culture. And assimilation is not necessarily a dirty term. Assimilation does not mean you forget everything. Assimilation means you flow with this culture and you embrace it, you value it. So these are my beliefs. First of all, I want to start with that, with where I'm coming from, because I think it's very relevant. And I will bring it to the Somali community in especially Minneapolis, city of Minneapolis, and state of Minnesota, because almost 100% of them are living in Minneapolis. Although there are some Somalis who live in different cities, but majority of the Somalis are living in Minneapolis. Total number, their total population is about 84,000. So basically, this is the largest Somali community in the United States, and I think the estimates are the total Somali population within the United States, considering wherever they are, is about give and take, I think 240,000, 250,000. 84,000 of them, which is the largest one, living in Minnesota, and most of them in Minneapolis. So now, what is it that I wanted to discuss on this video? What I want to discuss is this. Incongruent with what I started saying. Any person, regardless of their wherever they're coming from, whatever nation they're from, a their race, they're all over, in the United States, right? Asians, Africans, South Americans, Mexicans, Europeans, you name it. Russians, Middle Easterns, everybody. Right here in Minnesota, we have other ethnic communities, such as Hmong. Those are people from actually parts of Vietnam. They're not considered Vietnamese, a different ethnic group that they represent, and they were brought here after the war with Vietnam because they were helpful to American soldiers in the fight against the communist Viet Cong aggression. And they've been here. I mean, I've been here in this state 29 years, and they were here, well before, obviously, I came, and I remember seeing them. I don't remember hearing any problems with the Hmong people. And there are many others. There are Russians. There are other ethnic groups. Again, from everywhere, right? And none of these have been on the news causing issues and problems at actually very concerning levels and fundamentals. Basically, their level of problem from the immigration perspective is a very serious one. The ones that I'm talking about, Somalis. Number one, first off, people who come to this country are expected to also, in addition to learn the language, in addition to learn the culture, and abide the law, be a law-abiding person, eventually citizen, hopefully, they have to work hard. They should not expect the government give them handouts or people give them handouts, right? They come here. This is a country, still I believe, this is the land of opportunities. As long as you're willing to work hard, you can definitely find ways to better your life. I did this. In my opinion, I'm a standing, living example to that. This country has provided and protect me, provided me economically, living wise and everything, education wise and everything, and I believe I owe this country, and I think this is how a person, immigrant coming from another country, should be feeling. But what we're seeing here is an entirely different situation, none of which has been witnessed ever in the entire immigration history of the United States. Think about all these immigrant waves after the Second World War, after the First World War, prior to the First World War, in the 19th century and the 18th century, then overwhelmingly from European nations. And all the immigrants groups, of course, they all, initial times, they all had difficulties, similar types of difficulties, maybe adjustment problems, cultural problems, accommodations, what have you. They had, everybody had their own share of, difficulties. That includes even racism and ethnic-based, religious-based, faith-based, whatever. But eventually, all these groups have made their place in this country. They became citizens of this country. Eventually, they became, or their children or grandchildren, they all became Americans, and they call themselves, first and foremost, American. But what we're seeing here with the Somalis, they intend not to assimilate. They decided not to assimilate and learn American values, and they also decided not to contribute to the economy. They decided not to be a productive part of this country. And they're not only saying those things, they declare those things, and you can see videos, telling them, we're going to invade America, and we're going to convert everybody to Islam. We're going to force everybody to convert to Islam. So they're not only not assimilating and not learning the culture that every immigrant community or every immigrant person has been in the history during the history of immigration did so. They are openly challenging the system. They're openly challenging the United States of America and saying, we are here to invade, to occupy, to enforce our faith, our traditions. You're wrong, we're right. And eventually we will be owning this place. And they're claiming ownership on their host nation. And they're saying this openly. They're declaring this and they're saying this openly. They don't even have any kind of concern when they're saying those things. Number one reason why they don't feel even any kind of restriction, they don't feel restrained even saying those things, is one very important reason. It is the radical liberal ideology and the radical liberal policies, especially in the blue states like the state of Minnesota, have been in force. Today, they already, beyond any reasonable doubt, the largest ever welfare social support system abuse. Billions of dollars. Even after all these crimes have been surfaced, unearthed, proven, beyond a reasonable doubt, and without an exception, it has fallen squarely up on the Somali community, they are still not acknowledging that they're guilty. They're still trying to kind of skirt around these things, saying all kinds of stuff that they don't have any more meaning. All these sound bites. You're racist, you're bigot, xenophobic, Islamophobic, all that. All these words have been uttered so frequently, millions of times. Believe me, they don't have any more meanings or weight. They're just sound bites. Ilhan Omar the other day were saying those things. American people are this and that, xenophobic, Islamophobic, bigot, racist. No one anymore listens to that, pay attention, or cares. Everybody knows what these people are. So it is amazing that the radical liberal policies in the state of Minnesota are currently, as of now, trying to cover all this up, and it's impossible to cover anyway. I mean, this comes to the point that it's now this is a federal case now. It is under very close scrutiny and federal investigation, and the criminals, up to and including potentially Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and the governor, Tim Walz himself, will be hopefully found guilty officially and hopefully jailed. In case of Ilhan Omar, I hope she will be deported back to Somalia. So, all that said, the Somalis are still, Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis. He was delivering a speech, and guess what? He tried to talk Somali language. I want to basically describe the level of radical liberalism, almost militant style militarism in the state of Minnesota, and up to what levels that they can try to stretch this, the radicalism, the liberal radicalism, up to what extent they can stretch no matter what happens. I'm going to give you one example. If you just type in on Google for Minnesota state flag, you will see that it's been recently changed. The flag, since the state of Minnesota became joined the Union and became a state of the United States, up until sometime this year, 2025, recently actually, pretty recent, they changed the state flag. And guess what? Do you know how it looks like? If you don't know anything about that, You might think, okay, that's very different. I don't know why it's like this. Part of it is kind of blue, the other one is light blue. There is a kind of star with several heads. It's not like a regular star. It has, I don't know how many, 15 or 16 points on it. It resembles extremely closely the Somali flag. It is basically what these liberals running the state politics are basically saying, we're gonna be a small little Somalia. That's what they said with this change. This is their statement to the people of Minnesota, American people of Minnesota. What they're saying is, from now on, this is our flag, and we are Somalia, little Somalia. Yes, this happened. Imagine this. Imagine this is happening in your state, any other state. They're changing the state flag. Okay, that might be a possibility still, but for some reason, for some valid reason, if people are going along with this, if there's a referendum done and people support that, I can see that. That might happen. It's not horrible. But look at the way they changed the state flag in Minnesota. They change it to something else that would easily, extremely highly resembling the Somali flag. Somali flag is just one blue background, and in the center there's a star. Even the tone, the shade of the blue on the state flag, the Minnesota state flag, is the same shade and tone of that blue color. And they came up with all kinds of bullshit and describing, this part of shade, this tone of blue is representing our Great Lakes and stuff like that. That's all bull. No one believes in that. So this is the level of liberalism in the state of Minnesota. Like the mayor of Minneapolis, in the midst of all these things taking place, I mean, this is extremely serious, folks. President Trump gave ultimatum to the governor Tim Walz and the Congresswoman Ilhan Omar for their resignation. Right now in the city of Minneapolis, as of now, as I'm doing this and recording this video, ICE federal agents, Immigration and Customs Enforcement federal agents, are currently right now arresting people, capturing them, detaining them, arresting them for deportation. Deportation process has already started. I mean, there are 705 people in Somalis, 705 Somalis in Minnesota now. They had TPS statuses, the temporary protected status, that has been removed recently, a week or 10 days ago, by the President Trump. And ICE agents immediately upon this decision has been sent to start operations. Although all these things have been taking place, still in those neighborhoods, there are hardcore liberals, white hardcore liberals, fanatical liberals, are kind of challenging and trying to interfere with the ICE agents. They think they're protecting their Somali neighbors. Let me also add this. I gave you the population, 84,000 people, Somali people living in Minnesota. And almost every household, the Somali household, almost every one of them, with kids, with children, and they usually on the average has 3 to 4 kids. They have social support from the state of Minnesota under various different names. State of Minnesota has been extremely generous. In fact, it's funny, I feel funny to say that, because they figured out how to abuse and cheat the system to steal over just last 3 operations over $1 billion from the Minnesota, in this case, taxpayers, to siphon those dollars. First, to buy all kinds of luxury styles and huge mansions and expensive cars and stuff, and also send actually $1.7 billion to terrorist organization in Somalia called Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda linked terrorist organization. folks. Al Qaeda. We're talking about Al Qaeda. 9/11. We're talking about the one to attack who basically coordinated the whole attack thing, against the Twin Towers in New York City. They are linked to that organization, and unfortunately, inadvertently, Minnesota taxpayers have been swindled to finance that terrorist organization. While all this is happening, still the radical liberals basically controlling the state politics and policies are seemingly and openly and brazenly in support of these people, although their crime have been beyond reasonable doubt have been proven. So what I wanted to bring discussion here is this is one aspect. This is the one of the dimensions I want to talk about. The radicalism of liberal thought, the extreme wokeness, the extreme woke culture has gotten to the point to do things that I believe, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, probably people wouldn't be able to imagine they would be doing these things. I believe nothing would be a surprise if they mean Somalis, if they could basically organize into large gangs, armed groups, and start killing Christians, Minnesota white Christian Americans. These liberal politicians will be actually celebrating this, joining them, supporting them, and trying to find some kind of a sugarcoating words, sugarcoating phrases to kind of loosen up the extreme seriousness of the situation. This is how bad it is when it comes to extreme wokeness and extreme radical liberalism in the state of Minnesota. This has been, since Tim Walz came to power, and he served 2 terms, and his next term is coming up. Election is coming up next November. If he wins that, it's going to be 3rd time he'll be. Actually, practically there's no limit. As long as he gets elected, he'll be in power. But folks, I don't want to believe people of Minnesota will vote for him as 3rd term state governor. In fact, I don't believe. I hope he'll be in jail. I hope. I really wish that and hope that. There are a lot of indicators that would put him in jail. We'll see. If at least, if not jail, his political career must be, hopefully, completely and entirely destroyed, then he should not he wouldn't be able to even run for the 3rd term. But again, radicalism of liberal movement does not recognize any limits. This is what I came to believe. I can give a lot of examples from Europe. The similar threats are taking place. For instance, just recently I learned, I want to give you an example, especially it's relevant now because Christmas is just a couple of weeks away. In Christmas market, again, same thing. It happened last Christmas too. In Christmas market in Germany, this time it's not a truck kind of running through the crowd, but they did rampage. They damaged a lot of things, and they basically even defecated the aisles and stuff. And there was donkeys to give rise to kids. They tortured donkeys. I repeat, donkeys. These are all Muslim fundamentalist people, just like the Somali people here saying we're gonna eventually be in charge of Europe and America and the entire Western world. We're gonna kill all the Christians and everything. Those are the people. So, what do you think? How do you think German thought after these incidents responded? They were not even calling them what they are. They were calling them vandals. Well, when you say vandal, it is you can call vandal and hooligans after soccer matches in Europe. This is way different. This is at a different platform, at a different level. You call it what they are, and they don't have the guts. The same thing, just like here in Minnesota liberals. And European nations, European governments, especially Western Europeans, we're talking about Germany, England, those, they don't have guts, they don't have the balls to call it what it is. Their country is about to basically collapse, especially the like Trump said, European culture in maybe within a decade or two will be completely gone, collapsed, and unrecognizable. It will be something else that we don't know how it's to be called. This is where they're headed, and the similar kind of dynamics are taking place in the state of Minnesota. So that's what when I first started this recording, I was talking about immigration and what are the expectations of an immigrant, and I just tried to list them. Somalis are the only ones so far I basically witnessed in this country who very openly and clearly state their terms that what they're saying is we are here not to assimilate, we are here to invade and eventually force our own culture, our faith, maybe our language, I don't know. This is what they're saying. They are adamantly against any kind of American cultures, kind of getting uncultured in American ways. They're not immigrants, folks. They're not immigrants. They brought them upon here in our midst, and they are the enemy force. And they should be dealt as an enemy force. That's what I came to believe and wanted to share with you. If you have, and I believe there are lots of people I know, lots of people who are not necessarily radicalized in liberal ways. I mean, I'm not even considering them as, believe me, in existence. As far as I'm concerned, they can all go to hell and stay there and rot there forever. You know, I don't give a rat's ace. I don't give a shit. I don't give a damn fucking rat's ass, for the radical liberals. We don't know jack shit other than just repeating the sound bites because they were all brainwashed from that. But I know there are a lot of decent people who are not necessarily hardcore liberal or hardcore the other side. They're not necessarily racist, or they're not necessarily kind of a hardcore liberal. They're in between. Most people are like that. They're decent, nice people. And I know they have a hard time to swallow this, to kind of accept this. But this is happening. If they don't come to believe and understand and realize that this is happening, what's taking place eventually will hurt them. Let me put it this way. I actually put a commentary on that video that I was watching. You remember I mentioned that, the Christmas market thing in Germany, and I said those people are mostly from like a Middle East and North Africa, come like Afghanistan and all those places, Yemen, Afghanistan, and they're coming from countries where women is not considered a human being. Women, I repeat, is not considered a human being. When they see a woman, a modern woman, the number one thing is they have a right, the God-given right to fuck that woman. I'll be goddamn fucking open and honest with you. This is how they see and how they feel. And I said, if you guys don't stop it, if you guys do not contain this, if you guys keep bringing these guys, because your liberal governments are forcing you, because your liberal governments are puppets of the globalist organization that is basically trying to create this kind of chaos to bring a new world order. I'm not going to get into that. This is a whole lot of different level of dimension. Eventually, they'll be raping your sisters, your daughters, your mothers, your wives. Because this is what they're programmed. This is called jihad, and that's what jihad is telling them. Rape their women, kill them, and take their goods, money, property, everything, all the belongings. This is what jihad tells them. This is how they're conditioned. And these are the people you're bringing here to the Western nations, either this is the United States of America or Canada or Australia or Western Europe, and hoping them they can eventually learn civilization and assimilate. You gotta be believing, like, I think you guys also believe in Santa Claus. Those who are saying that, they gotta believe in Santa Claus. Maybe they grew up with Pollyanna stories and they have no understanding, they have no notion of reality. They're out of touch completely, and they're not even thousands of miles close to reality. But this is the reality. If you keep doing this, this is what's gonna happen. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, folks. Stay safe. Take care.